like I said, that's why we wanted to come out with this alternative, because we wanted to offer something to people that had those same benefits, because it is considered like such a great product to use for anti-aging. But traditional vitamin A products just aren't, they're just not usually the best for your health and for your skin health. So that's why we have offered this. So like I said, it might be a good idea if you wanted to give it a try and just see how you feel like it compares. But I'd say too, it's nice because it's something that you can use, more over time and incorporate into your routine and not have to worry, that it's thinning your skin and that sort of thing.
That's a really, really good question. So you can use them morning and night with some caveats. So the Revitalize, much like the activated night serum, this one, or the retinol alternative, bioactive A, that one we recommend in the evening. So even though it's not a retinol, it's not a vitamin A derivative, it still can create some photosensitivity and some sensitivity in the skin, which doesn't lend itself wonderfully to like daytime and like going out in the world. We also wouldn't recommend that if you're like going to wake up and go on a beach vacation the next morning or something like that. So that one we do recommend in the evening. And then the other like thing to note, the Brighten and the Revitalize, vitamin C and retinol, so traditional retinol, cancel each other out when you use them together. So even though ours is not a traditional retinol, we do recommend that you use one in the morning and one in the evening. Or if you're doing the Brighten in the evening, that you don't do the Revitalize with it, and that those two are used separately. The hydrate can be used morning, can be used night, can be used with any of the others. It's got a lot of flexibility. And because of that, people tend to go through it most quickly. And so we did actually launch that one for individual sale. And this is just a full size bottle of the hydrate. It's not part of the set, but if you find that you're using the set and the hydrate's like the one that you love, that one is sold on its own. I have never tried it with the coconut oil. I think molecularly, the coconut oil would be a little bit dense to fully penetrate the skin. I like to use them in a serum because the serum is thinner, because the serum is closest to the skin, generally speaking. I prefer it over any version of oil, whether it's our oil or a coconut oil. I would say you can try it and you can. If you use coconut regularly on the skin, you can give it a shot. As long as you've gotten a medium, they are quite active, and so don't put them directly on the skin. The focus of the herbal facial oil is really to maintain a balance to the skin. And so this is helpful for skin types that are pretty normal and not really too far in one direction or the other. It is not necessarily as supportive for staving off signs of aging or helping to kind of reduce the appearance of signs of aging as the anti-aging facial oil is. That one, it is a little bit richer. It starts with a jojoba oil and then the seed blend that's steeped into it. Those are very antioxidant rich. The direction of the anti-aging facial oil is maintaining the strength and kind of like youthful glow. Which is a little bit different than the herbal facial oil. And if you've been using the anti-aging facial oil and are finding that that feels good, that one still might be the best fit for you. Now, with the larger pores on the nose, what you might find is that the anti-aging facial oil does work with your skin in that over probably likely like a skin cycle, 28 to 35 days, that those naturally kind of reduce in size. What you might find also, though, is that there's enough of kind of this like sebum buildup in it, the pore, that they either need to be extracted or need to be kind of supported by some form of exfoliation. With extractions, every state is different in terms of the legality that they'll allow estheticians to do. So you could go to a spa and they don't do extractions on the nose there. It just would depend, and you would want to either ask, call and ask or something like that. But exfoliation is a super helpful way to maintain like kind of this cleanliness of the pore. Large pores can happen, especially as we age, because your skin cell cycle starts to slow down and it can kind of build up. And exfoliating, so especially for normal and combo skin, you can pretty much handle almost any version that we offer. We have three options. I don't actually have the Ayurvedic, but it's the most mild, and so I won't talk about it quite as much. It's a loose, dry exfoliant, and you wet your fingers and kind of create a paste with it. The other options, this is the kaolin micro exfoliant, and this is in a BPA-free lined aluminum tubing here. And the texture of this is pretty truly like what you think of when you think of a skin scrub. It's got a good amount of texture to it. It's kind of in like a creamy consistency. The blend of it also has kaolin, and so it's naturally kind of pulling impurities, excess oil, all of that to it. This one, just an aside, is a good one for the body as well. So if you're looking for something that is dual purpose, this is good for the body. And this is good for pretty much any skin type. It's a little bit intense if you're really sensitive. So if you are someone who's prone to like, feeling really sensitive or reacting quickly to products, that one can be a little bit too much texture. But otherwise, most skin types can handle it. And then the third one is the resurfacing facial exfoliant. Now, this one's different. This is a gel consistency that is a honey-derived lactic acid, like base. So it's pretty active. If you are sensitive or tend to be on the sensitive side, it might be too much for you. But you wear this one like a mask. You apply it and leave it on for, I think it says up to 10 minutes. You can do as little as 2 or 3 if your skin's like, "Ooh, if you're really active, I want to take it off." You can remove it. And it's this very kind of like polished, resurfaced feel. So in aiding in kind of reducing the size, reducing the appearance of a, large pores, maintaining this kind of like healthy, like exfoliation of the skin, it can be helpful so that this isn't like building up and impacting in a pore.
Using a toning mist for me is helpful, just with absorption. And you can use it like do a spritz after you cleanse, put on your serum. I mean, this might seem really excessive to you, but you could try it. And then you could do another spritz and then your oil and then spritz after you put on your oil too. And even like the rosemary toning mist, like I said, that one's kind of more like mattifying, normal combination oilier skin types. But the thing that I love about this is I like that I can incorporate this because it has like purifying ingredients, but it's not drying out my skin. It still is offering a dose of hydration because it's that aloe vera juice base. Well, I would say the more activated ingredients that you can incorporate into your routine, like those are the ingredients that are really going to give you the best, most visible result. Like I said, they contain like these really high levels of activated ingredients. So, like especially the Revitalize elixir and the activated night serum that both contain that bioactive A complex. That is going to be really great to incorporate into your routine because, like you said, that retinol alternative, it's got anti-aging benefits. So just incorporating those activated ingredients, so like the bioactive A, um like the plant stem cells that I mentioned, which we use in a lot of our products.
So if you really are trying to determine how your skin is reacting to a specific one, whether it's in a positive or not positive experience, I would start with one and I would do one for about 3 weeks. Then you might incorporate a second one and be like, notice the differences. You can swap it over. So use one for 3 weeks, get your second one, try that one for 3 weeks, do the same thing. You can also just introduce the second one since you already have a sense of how the first one feels and use the second one. And, then if something does feel different, you'll kind of know where that's coming from. Probably the anti-aging serum. The anti-aging serum is kind of like a good baseline serum just for maintenance of the skin. It is providing a little bit of hydration, but it's got this herbal floral blend in it, which is helpful for staving off exacerbating any signs of aging. But the oil, what is really helpful, even if your skin is normal, even if your skin isn't really showing a lot of signs of aging, is it keeps skin really soft and it keeps kind of this like soft, like what we call it the acid mantle. It's the barrier of your skin that helps basically stave off fine lines. This is what we use in place of a moisturizer is an oil. And we suggest that for a couple of reasons, and we can kind of get into that more when we're talking about the oils. But one of the big ones is that oil is very like your skin, your body is very receptive to oil because your skin naturally produces oil. And the one that comes in your kit is the anti-aging facial oil. It is a jojoba oil base, which mimics skin's natural oil really, really nicely. And so even if you're just doing like a drop as kind of like as maintenance, right? You do like a drop on your finger, pat your fingers together, cheeks, forehead, and then just like lightly apply it that way. It still is providing a little bit of support and maintaining this kind of emollient look to the skin that's helping to stave off fine lines. So lines in the face, lines in the cheeks, all of that.
Physical exfoliant, we're gonna like physically polish the
Mhm.
skin. The lactic acid in the resurfacing facial exfoliant, it's an alpha hydroxy acid. It's a mild peel. They dissolve the glue that holds that top layer of skin cells. So it has like a resurfacing effect on the skin. So it's hard to say like which is better. I like to use a combination of both. I tend to use physical exfoliants more often just because it's like easier, but they're both great. I would say like if your main concern is signs of aging or pigmentation, the resurfacing exfoliant can be a good one to incorporate.
So the hyaluronic acid, the serums that have hyaluronic acid and tremolo mushroom, it's pretty immediate, um, usually overnight. And that's just the nature of those ingredients. And they can compound, right? So as you use them longer, but like hyaluronic acid, for example, if your skin is a little bit damp when you apply it, it's immediately finding that moisture and plumping up in the skin because that's what a humectant does. And I honestly think that's one of the reasons that the anti-aging serum is such a big seller is because there's a pretty immediate difference in hydration, um, and also the name. So if like people are just looking for something anti-aging, that's kind of a go-to. But you see a difference pretty quickly. The wild fruit serum though also has hyaluronic acid, and so that immediate kind of overnight effect of that plumping, it's pretty quick. If you're not seeing it the first night, I mean, within the first 3 days would be when I would expect for you to feel that, but usually it's pretty quickly. Yes. This is really common with oils and with serums. All of the products, generally speaking, have a higher level of antioxidants. And for most skin types, this isn't too like they might not even notice there might not be any reaction. But for somebody who's either sensitive or somebody who's coming from either a super simple routine or kind of more traditional, like maybe drugstore cleansers and moisturizers and things like that, this high, like live product basically, it can create kind of this almost like an antioxidant kickback. What happens or tends to happen is there are like this small breakout in these thin-skinned areas. So it can be like sides of the mouth, sometimes like all the way down to the chin. Sides of the nose are really common. Top of the lip is really common, even up on the sides of the mouth here. That is primarily where I see it. I think technically it can happen anywhere, but it tends to happen where thin skin is really thin. And what's happened is it's just this like your skin's reacting to this high amount of concentration, active, live, antioxidant rich ingredients. And so the solve for that, it can look a different way, depending on, well, if it's uncomfortable, anytime you're experiencing like intense discomfort or a reaction, I always say just stop. You can reintegrate one at a time. I do work with a lot of customers who are so eager and love the product so much they just really want to do it all at once, but there is sometimes a method to the madness. So integrating one at a time can be a way to alleviate it. It also can be helpful for your pocketbook to just like invest in one or two and start there. Another thing could just be to write it out. So it generally about 2 weeks, oftentimes less, but about 2 weeks that experience would be happening. And then it starts to fade. Your skin has kind of adjusted. It's kind of like come back into its normal state. If it's lasting longer than 2 weeks, if it's really red, if it's other places than those thin-skinned areas, I would ask the question of like, is this an actual reaction to something? Because that absolutely can happen, especially with so many plant ingredients to have allergies and things like that. But for those small little breakouts, it's not atypical. It definitely happens. And yeah, you can either slow down how you're introducing them or just write it out, and see how that feels.